It's 10 a.m. in the morning. It's quite early, but I thought, why not? Like, why not say something about photography and maybe take some photos almost in the middle of the day, which is not a great idea for any photographer, but well, here we are. I haven't touched my camera in a year or something like that, so I thought it's going to be a great opportunity to do something about it and share my journey of being a photographer. Retired, I guess. You know, when I was a kid, I've dreamt of being so many people. I mean, like, I wanted to be an architect and, I don't know, a policewoman and a psychologist, a journalist, a full-time traveler, even before it was a thing. But among all of these things, I really wanted to be a photographer. And it wasn't easy in those times because I am not from a rich family. Photography was an expensive hobby, which still is, but is much more accessible right now to be a videographer, filmmaker, or even a photographer. And I dreamt of being a product photographer. All the people that I've seen wanted to do people photography, and I didn't like it, even though I did it later because I wanted to experiment with all kinds of professions in photography, like inside of photography, and like weddings, fashion, portraits. But I discovered this is not my thing. I wanted to take products, show them in a beautiful background with beautiful light, colors, like bottles, cosmetics, jewelry. Got my first camera when I was 18 years old. It was Canon 1000D with the kit lens, and I was so happy to have actually something. My first photos were bugs, flies, nature, landscape, and I even won a photography contest at school. I remember with that moment when I won this contest, I said to myself, maybe photography is a thing, like maybe you can earn money. I think I was really lucky about that aspect in my life, that I became a product photographer when I was 22 years old. It wasn't a dream job, but it was a start. On the first interview, you had already showed them in front of them your skills in Photoshop. I had to go to their office and actually show my skills. They gave me a thing, I had to take a photo of it and show my skills in Photoshop, how to cut it. It was a simple product photography on one white background, so you can imagine it was easy. I got the job, so I was studying and at the same time working. I could learn so many things at that job, even though I was fired because they believed that male photographers are better than female photographers, which I found out much later. They didn't want a woman because they thought she's too weak, she didn't have the same skills, and it was me. I found a job in 2 days. Again, another one in product photography, but this time was clothes, which also was a new thing for me. But then my life went a little down because I moved for my boyfriend to another city, to Poznań, which I don't recommend to any of you doing for a guy, but I did it. I don't remember how that happened, but I applied to a job. They were looking for a graphic designer, but I was like sending my curriculum to any place. I didn't care what I sent it, and I sent, but I had skills for photography, and they decided, well, why not? We need a photographer. We can have someone who takes photos of food and any other things. And that was also a great opportunity because while being a photographer, I learned how to be a graphic designer because of my friends, that we are still friends till this day. 5 years since I left the company, but we are still friends, good friends. Yeah, and now I took a break for so many years in Granada, and I took photos when I traveled of all the places where I was, but it wasn't like a professional photography. It was just a hobby, just for my album of memories. For me, it's something that I would like to share. Maybe it will help you see the places where I was. I forgot to mention that artificial intelligence thing will not replace weddings, lifestyle, or even journalism. But I guess we can have a kind of much harder way to be professional and more famous and maybe get into National Geographic, which was my dream since I found out that there is this magazine and you can earn money from traveling and showing places and telling stories and just show the people's lives. I guess it's much more accessible right now. Anybody can have a camera, but I just hope people will realize that the reality and honesty is much better than being false. And I wanted to share that my sister is coming, which is a good thing because she's turning 31 years old and I will be 34 this year. And people are coming, people. You know, this camera I bought in 2016. Before a huge breakup that happened in my life. You know, it's not like a huge thing right now in these times, but almost 10 years ago, it was a thing. You know, it's Canon 6D. It's beautiful. It takes amazing photos. I've been traveling with this camera to all places where I've been. And I also had a second lens, which was Sigma 35. But unfortunately it fell down one time and I lost it. So when I lost it, I literally cried. And then my favorite season is autumn. I will never change my mind about it. Second was winter and then spring. Summer was never on my list because everything is yellow. Everything seems like it's dying. I think like flowers just don't breathe when it's so hot. I feel like a flower with a great environment. I feel like I'm growing and I just need water, proper vitamins or vitamins. I don't know. My grandma was an amazing person to flowers. They were dying with the other person and they said to my grandma, like, take it, the flower is already gone, the plant will never grow again. My grandma literally took it and 2-3 days later, they were alive, they were again beautiful, full of life. And I couldn't understand how she does it. Flowers with me? Hell no, even the cactus can't live with me. Remember this view few videos back? So, this is how it looks in early spring, which I think looks awesome. I really can't wait to see it all in a month. I will definitely have an eyegasm. I didn't know before, like 10 years ago, that I will love doing films. When I bought Canon 6D, I had a friend who was a photographer and he asked me, why don't you just wait 6 months because they will release 6D Mark II that will be focused for films. And I remember that I told him that I will never get into films. Like, I will never be recording, so what's the point? And I love photography. I want to start it right now because if not right now, I will never actually start. I know myself. Like, I'm kind of in this kind of impulsive person that if I want something to do, I will do it right now because I know that if I will be waiting, I would eventually not do it because it's like only growing in my head, this idea, and it happens with so many projects. I should have waited, but it's good that I didn't because I've made so many great projects. I've met so many great people and I wouldn't change it. So that's the journey, I guess.